Morning, everybody. Welcome to Spine Safe Mat Pilates, and today's class is going to be using a squishy ball, just 9 to 12 inch diameter, just something that can squish down and be easy to hold and use as our prop. And we're going to be starting laying on our back. So spine safe to get on your back would be to roll to your side and then roll onto your back. If you feel like you are looking backward, try to stretch out the back of your neck to look straight up toward the ceiling. That's not possible. Something small under your head to keep the back of your neck long is great. So let's go ahead and pull shoulders down, take a breath, pull into tummy a little bit, lift up your hips, a low lift for bone density loss like osteopenia or porosis, a higher lift if that's not your situation. And then we'll come on down and articulate your spine down. So let's do that 2 more times. We're just holding the ball right now to keep it handy. And do a lift that's appropriate for you. And then articulate your spine down. Perfect job. 1 more time. Press up through your feet. And then lower down using your abdominals. And just keep breathing. Okay. So now we're going to take the ball and place it underneath our sacrum. So it should be slightly deflated enough to squish down so that when you're on it, you're not lifted more than about 3 fingers width, okay? So if it's very, taut, if it's very inflated, you may want to take the plug out and re-inflate it. And let's go ahead and wiggle our hips back and forth, placing our hands on our abdomen, just with fingers wide like so. And take a little breath here. Once you find center, and we'll exhale, pull softly into belly, pull softly into pelvic floor, and bring one leg up to a close tabletop, not a chair position, but float your thigh in over your abdomen. And then go ahead and float the other thigh in over your abdomen. And just see how it is, just to balance there for a moment. It'll lift our elbows up, wing your elbows up off the floor, and just feel if you feel centered on the ball. And you could place your elbows back down, and we'll begin our toe taps, 1 leg at a time. So the floor is not the goal. Once you feel your belly tighten and before your back arches, bring the leg back up to the close tabletop position. So just take it nice and easy here. Just warming up our deep abdominals, warming up our core stabilizers and our spinal stabilizers, and we'll just keep breathing. So, and just a word about breathing. We do want to keep breathing. Right now, there's not necessarily a breath that I'm going to recommend you use. Your body will find the breath that's natural for you. We're not going to be able to take really a full breath, are we? Because we're using our abs. So we just keep breathing, and it's a little bit shallower than a normal, healthy belly breath. All right, let's do 1 more toe tap. And then let's go ahead and hug our knees into our chest. And now with your knees held in your hands, rock your knees in and away, and in and away. And then you'll notice, because you're not using your abs, that your spine is free to do a little bit of movement. So this is like a very gentle cat-cow. We're laying down, there's no gravity on our spine at all. So we can just feel safe to rock back and forth like so. Perfect job. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see how it is to just balance with our arms up toward the ceiling. So reach up so much that your shoulder blades slightly come off the mat. You'll notice with less base of support, things might get a little more wiggly. And then go ahead and pull your shoulder blades down and plant them on the mat. So ideally, your arms are about as wide as your torso. So just do that a couple more times. This is what we call shoulder slaps. So you're actually strengthening some very important muscles underneath your shoulder blades that help with your shoulder stability, okay? And last time, and we'll just plant our shoulder blades on the mat, and then keep your arms reaching up toward the ceiling. And now lift up your shins a little bit so they're parallel with the ground. Take a breath, and as you exhale, begin to slide one leg out away from you at about a 45-degree angle and then bring it back in. And then take the other side, slide it out and bring it back in. So single leg reaches, and we'll find an appropriate height in the room. So what I mean by that is the lower you go, the more effort will be required. And so we want to find that place where we have some abdominal work going on without any overflow happening into our neck or face or jaw, and where we feel in control of the position of our spine, the back. And so let's do one more on each side. Perfect job. And let's go ahead and hold on to each knee in its own hand. And now carefully and slowly take your knees around in mirror image circles. So now you're stirring your femur bones and the hip sockets. Let's just do 4 in each direction. Just keep breathing. Check in again with your neck position. Make sure you're looking straight up toward the ceiling. And one more. And we'll just hug our knees in. Release them, bring your arms back up toward the ceiling. And again, reach up a lot and then plant your shoulder blades down on the mat. Take a breath, pull into belly. And this time when we lift up our shins to be parallel with the floor, we'll take one leg in the opposite arm. So let's say I'm reaching my left leg long. I'm going to take my right arm overhead to just before cheekbone height and then bring everybody back in and alternate. So opposite arm and leg reach. The limbs that are not currently reaching, try to keep them motionless. Sometimes we get into a pattern where we're doing a lot of counterbalancing with the other limbs. Let's see if we can just maintain control today of the other limbs and have them not help us. Okay, so you begin to feel a little bit of a diagonal. So let's do 2 more, 1 for each side. We'll even out our sides. Just keep breathing. Perfect. And hug your knees in. And now carefully take your knees around in a circle. And you'll notice it has to be very small. You're going to fall off your ball. So our goal is to stay on the ball today. Let's go the other direction. Perfect job. Hug your knees in. Bring your arms down to the mat and let's just lower one leg and the other. Perfect job. So now wiggle your hips side to side. That's nice. And we'll pull into belly again. Let's place our feet about the width of our hips, maybe a little bit wider, okay? Shoulders are down your back and feel how it is to press your arms into the mat. Okay, so when you press your arms into the mat, you can either have your palms down or the backs of your hands down. Try both. Just press your arms and then flip and press your arms and then pick the one that feels better to you, the one that you feel is a strengthening position for you. And then we'll go ahead and press our hips into the ball. Good. And release. And see if you can do that without arching your back. So pull into belly, press your hips into the ball. Good. Now, let's go ahead and combine those movements. So we'll go back and forth between arms, press your arms into the mat, release, press your hips into the mat. Good. Arms and then hips. Good. Now arms, and when you press your arms in this time, engage your glutes and lift your hips up. And then lower your hips down, press your hips into the ball and raise your arms up to beside you. Then lower your arms, press your arms into the mat and lift your hips. And then lower down, press your hips into the ball, find your abs, raise your arms. Good. And again, we'll do 2 more cycles. Lift your hips while you're pressing your arms into the mat. Lower your hips, press into the ball, raise your arms. Good. Last one. Press your arms, lift your hips, and then press down into the ball, raise your arms. Good. Now we'll lower our arms and bring our legs up into a closed tabletop again, shins parallel to the floor. Right. Everybody's head stays down here. Bring your arms to beside you And then we'll begin our 100 here. So let's beat our arms next to us. Maintain your balance on the ball. Inhale on 5. Exhale on 5. So it's inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't this fun? So as you're moving your arms beside you and you're breathing, you're reaching your arms long, and the movement of your arms creates a little bit of instability in the ball. So what you can do is play with that a little bit. You could choose to extend both legs, which is more work, or you can choose to extend one leg on your exhale, bringing it on your inhale, and the other leg on your exhale, and bringing it on the inhale. So lots of things you can do here. Okay, and we've got 2 more cycles left. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful job. And we'll bring our arms down and float our legs down. Nicely done. So now let's just pluck the ball out from underneath us. And we'll roll to one side. I'll roll away from you so you can see what I'm doing. So we'll roll away. I'm going to place the ball behind the bra strap leg. So make sure it's not behind your waist. It needs to be up higher behind your bra strap line, behind your chest. And then when you roll back on it, your head will be elevated. So you need to catch your head in your hands, make a hammock out of your fingers for your head, and then keep everything in alignment. So your hips are down now, and the ball is behind your chest. So make sure that feels comfy. You can adjust it higher or lower, and then we'll keep our back of our neck long and open your chest over the ball. So take a breath here. And as you exhale, pull up pelvic floor, pull belly in, pull rib cage down, and press your ribs into the ball to lift your head, neck, and shoulders in one piece. So we'll do this a few times, inhaling back and exhaling up. So what we're hoping to find is some upper ab strengthening in a range that's behind the level of the floor. So functional for reaching things on a high shelf or catching a ball, for example, overhead, throwing a ball to your dog with one of those throwy things, so lots of functional reason to get strong in this range. Make sure that your neck is just a passenger to the movement of your rib cage. So your neck and your head are moving with you, not kind of leading the movement. Okay, and so we'll just do a couple more. Inhaling down, exhaling up. Last one. Beautiful job. And then we'll go ahead and roll to one side, pluck the ball out, and come back on our back. That was fun, right? So now hold the ball in your hand, squish the ball in your hand until your chest muscles work, and then grab the ball and pull it apart with your fingers and see if you can connect that movement to your back muscles. So push the ball and pull the ball. One more time, push the ball and pull the ball. Great. So now let's go ahead and hold the ball up over our chest and just hold on to it with a nice gentle wide grip. Widen your elbows. Okay. Now let's see if we can bring the ball overhead without our ribs leaving the mat. So this means that it's going to be relative to our shoulder flexibility, and then bring the ball back. Okay, so when you bring the ball overhead, there's a certain point where your back would have to arch in order to really get a lot of range, right? So let's just minimize that one more time. Keep your ribs pressing into the mat and bring the ball just to where it goes with your ribs on the mat. Okay, you'll feel more ab there too. Good, so now bring one leg up to tabletop. It doesn't matter which one. We're going to just do a little test run here. Extend both arms overhead, bring the one leg back, press the ball on your thigh. Okay, extend and press the ball on your thigh. Okay, so this deepens the ab. Let's do the other leg. Extend, 2 arms overhead, 1 leg, come back, press the ball on your thigh, extend, and press the ball on your thigh. Good. Okay. So now let's bring both legs up to tabletop in a close tabletop And we can start with our ball pass. So we'll extend our legs and arms to a place that we can control using our abs. Bring our arms and legs back in, and then place the ball in between your thighs. Now your arms are empty. Bring your empty arms overhead, extend your legs, and then come back and grab the ball out. So your range of motion in your room depends on how comfortable you are feeling in the moment with stabilizing your back on the mat. So we want to make sure that we're staying in a range that makes sense for today, right? Not like where we think we should be, but where we really are. Okay, so like my Wayne Dyer said once in a seminar I attended with him, we've got to stop shoulding all over ourselves, right? So when we say should to ourselves, it's a judgment. So we just accept where we are and do the exercise, the number of repetitions that we think is good for us. And then when we end up, we'll end up with the ball in between our thighs, and we'll float our legs down and bring our arms down. Now let's take our arms wide to the side in the shape of a T and bring your ankles together. So you're kind of in a V in a way. Your inner line of your feet are together and the ball's between your thighs. And then we'll drop our knees over to one side. And we'll use the ball as a guide to keep our femurs together. So we kind of log rolled our pelvis and our thighs together. Take a couple of breaths here and find a stretch in your chest. Okay, so there's going to be a pec stretch on the side that you rolled your knees away from. And then take one more breath. Exhale, pull into belly, and bring your legs back through center. Inhale off to the other side. Ankles and feet are still together, all still between the thighs, and we're finding a chest stretch on the other side. And keep breathing. And exhale back to center. Let's do one more on each side at your own pace. Inhaling to rotate. Rotation happens actually in your rib cage. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale off to the other side when you're ready. And exhaling back to center when you're ready. Arms come back in. And we'll lift and lower our hips to organize our spines. Good. So now let's go ahead and just remove the ball for a moment and bring our right leg into our hands behind the thigh. And we'll do an active stretch toward the ceiling 4 times. So we just pull the knee in and stretch our leg up toward the ceiling. And 3, and really press your leg into your hand so that your knee straightens and you activate your thigh muscle. That was good. Then we'll go ahead and change sides. Active stretch. And 2, 3, and 4. Nice job. Okay. Now we'll be doing our single leg circles. We're doing stability circles first. So hands on pelvis, elbows wide. And then we'll bring our left leg in and straighten it up toward the ceiling. Now the right leg can stay bent, or you can slide it out straight and then flex your foot like you're standing on the floor. So that's a choice. So for our stability circles, we'll pull into belly. We'll exhale as we lower our left leg, and then only take it out as wide as your mat to bring it back up again. And just feel with your nice wide palms and finger pads the work in your belly to make this happen. So we have to pull into our right low ab to prevent our hips from just rolling with our leg. Now, there's a little bit of movement that's going to be natural and normal. And we just, want to have that to be controlled. Like we're not going willy-nilly all over the mat here. And let's go ahead and change direction. So we circle out and around, and we come up center. So to keep this safe for our friends that have hip replacements, we keep it just at midline and to the side of midline without crossing over. Okay, 3, and 4. Beautiful job. And then we'll go ahead and bring our legs in and switch legs. So the right leg extends up. You can choose. You can extend your left leg or keep it bent. And we'll go ahead and start our circles again. Hands are wide and swing your leg around to the side and up. So coming down center, swinging around to the side and up and breathing. So this time with the right leg working, the left low ab is pulling in more strongly as we swing our leg around to the side to keep our hips more stable. And very nice. And let's go the other direction. So using our mat as our frame. And just keep breathing. Sometimes an ab doesn't want to work, right? So we can just gently press into our inside hip bone area and help our ab become more awake. And one more. Beautiful job. And then we'll bring both knees in and take your knees in your hands and take your knees around in wide mirror image circles. So we just created some work in our hip rotators, and that brings synovial fluid into our hip joints, the ones that are the original factory installed ones. And then we can distribute that lubrication to the hip joint by taking our femurs around like this really wide. So this is very good for our hip joint. All right, so let's go ahead now and take our left leg into our hands behind our thigh and hold up on your leg as high as you can, keeping your collarbones wide and your shoulder blades down on the mat. And then we'll extend our other leg out into the room, 45 degrees or higher, okay? And then we'll do a little bit of a pulse. So press, press, and switch. Press, press, and switch. So here we have our single long leg stretch, and safe for everybody with the head down, but the legs have to be a little higher in the room. If you're okay with upper body lift, meaning you do not have disc issues or osteopenia or porosis, you can pause for a moment, nod your chin, come up into an upper body lift, and then you can see you can lower your leg much more because you have a little bit of an advantage. But this is not a safe position for someone who is has bone density loss. So we need to stay head down if we're in that camp. And we'll just do one more on each side. Even out your sides and hug your knees in. Good. And then from here, hug your shins in and go ahead and take a breath. And if you are okay with head up, you can exhale, roll your head up, looking down towards your abdomen. If you need to stay head down, stay head down. We go into double leg stretch. So inhale, extend your arms and legs, swim your arms around, bend your knees, and hug your shins in again. 4 more, please. Inhale, swim around, exhale, inhale, swim around, exhale. Good. 3 and 4. Beautiful job. Now with your left shin in towards you, put your right hand on just above, below the knee, and the left hand on the outer ankle. Extend the other leg. So we go into our single leg stretch. Then we'll just go ahead and press into our hands and switch and switch. And again, these can all be done with your head lifted if that's safe for you to do. Perfect job. You have to switch your hands every time. Makes our brains work, right? And keep breathing. Last one. And hug your knees in. Take a breath. Rock your knees back and forth. And just give yourself a little cat-cow movement on the mat. It's like massaging your back right on the mat. Good. So let's go ahead now and place our hands behind our head with the head down on the mat. And then we'll just take a little moment here, take a breath, And exhale your right leg up into your close tabletop. Good. Now rotate your heart towards your right leg. So you can do this with your head down. So your left shoulder blade will be up, your right shoulder blade's down, and then come back to center and lower the leg. And then we'll lift the left leg and we'll rotate toward the left thigh. Your right shoulder blade's lifted, your left shoulder blade's pressing into the mat. Okay, so if we need to keep our spines safe with any kind of bone density loss, this is how we can begin doing our crisscross. Okay, so as we do this rotation, see, hold the end point and see if you can feel the pressure into the mat and the diagonal in your belly for just that moment. And then if you need more, go ahead and bring your legs up to tabletop, and then you're extending the leg you're rotating away from. We're rotating around the long axis of our spine. And if you do not need to keep your head down today, then you could go ahead and come up into your upper body lift as you rotate. So the upper body's rotating in one piece. And we have our crisscross. Let's do one more on each side. And we'll come on in, come on down, and bring your arms down beside you. Nice job. So from here, let's go ahead and roll over to one side, and we'll find our ball. And let's place the ball in between our thighs. So we'll be laying down with our head supported on our arm. Okay, so we have a neutral spine here, so we need to lift up our belly, and then the legs can be either in a Z or a chair position. Okay, so it depends on what's most comfortable for you. So I'll have my hand on my hip for a moment, lift up the side waist, and then squeeze the ball gently, and then rotate my knee off the ball enough to feel my glutes working without losing the ball. And then squeeze and lift. So let's do 10 of those, and I'll let you count. And the reason we have our hand on our hip is to make sure the hip's not rolling back. Okay, so when we do a rotation in our thigh, sometimes we want to go so far that we roll back. So we're just going to make sure we're nice and stable, and we're working our gluteal external rotators. They are 6 of our 9 glute muscles. Fabulous, right? So neat. And I think that's 10. If it's not, we'll say it is. And then we can go ahead and we can place our hand anywhere we want. So now we've got our idea. I'll place mine up palm forward, right over the armpit. And then go ahead and squeeze down and then lift your whole leg, making sure that your ankle and knee are traveling at the same rate of speed. So again, for our hip replacement friends, make sure that you're not letting your leg and ankle kick up and going into internal rotation, especially with a posterior replacement. Okay, anterior replacement, that's not as much of an issue. A posterior, we don't want to do that kind of internal rotation of the femur. Squeeze and lift. We having fun? Hope so. And last one. Perfect job. We'll bring our arm down, pluck the ball out, and then let's go ahead and press up into a side arm support position. We'll place the ball underneath our waist. So your legs are still bent. And this one is going to be a little tricky. The fulcrum really matters here, okay? So if the fulcrum's too low, then you may not feel like you're able to do the exercise. And if it's too high, then you're not going to get any range of motion. So we just have to kind of play with where that is. Fingertips surround your earlobes. And the first thing we'll do, keep your legs down, so squeeze your legs together and just bring your head and upper arm up towards your hip. So make sure you get your idea of what is a lateral flexion first without any twisting, okay? And then if you feel like you want more, you can wing your bottom elbow out of the way so you get way more range. And then see if it's possible to come up without your feet lifting. Okay. So let's see if we can do about 10 of these. Take your time with it. And if you are trying the no bottom arm support one and it's not happening, don't despair. Just come back to the original position. And what you'll do is come up and do your best not to push with the bottom elbow, you see? So that way you build strength in the movement in the upper side of your abdomen. Okay, all right. And last one, nicely done. So let's now bring our top arm over, and you can have it slightly in front of you to keep your shoulders safe. And we'll extend the top leg and keep it active, and we'll just get a nice side stretch here. So take a breath. And take another breath. Beautiful job. And then let's go ahead and press up, and we'll switch sides. So let's go ahead and start with the side flexion exercise first. We'll just kind of go backward here from what we just did. So place the ball underneath our waist. Legs are bent in together, and we'll have our fingertips around our ears. And then we'll just experiment and see where is side flexion without rotation. Make sure you're comfy on your hip, okay? And if you feel like your fulcrum is in the right place and you feel like you're ready, go ahead and lower down, get your bottom elbow out of the way, and then you're coming up. And, you know, there's always one side that's tougher than the other. This would be my tougher side, by the way, FYI. Right? So we have differences in our strength. That's completely normal. Right? So we just work with that. We'll accept it and work with it. So we're doing about 10. And again, if you feel like you've had enough of full voltage one, you just come back up and try not to push with your bottom elbow. And I think we've got 2 more here. Make sure we're not rotating as we come up. Perfect job. And then we'll come down and extend our arm slightly forward overhead. Maybe rest your bicep on your cheekbone, and then keep your top leg active and extend it. And we'll get a nice side stretch here. And just breathe. Perfect job. We'll bring our limbs back in and press up. Get the ball out from underneath. Place it in between your thighs, and then we'll lay down on our arm, finding our neutral spine, lifting the side waist, and then hand on hip, just to make sure we're not doing a roll back. Squeeze the ball, and then rotate your knee up without rotating your pelvis. If you feel like you've really got that dialed in, you don't need to keep your hand on your hip. You can go ahead and extend your arm overhead, keep your side waist lifted. Keep breathing. It's a beautiful thing. Getting our little glutes engaged here. All the glutes. 2 more for 10. Maybe lift the corners of your mouth too. Okay, great. And then we'll go ahead and squeeze the ball and lift the whole leg, making sure that, especially if we've had a hip replacement on this top leg, we are lifting our ankle and foot at the same rate of speed as our knee. Squeeze and lift. Squeeze and lift. Keeping your side waist lifted off the mat. And 1 more. Beautiful job. We'll just pluck the ball out, and we'll press up. And then we'll go ahead and place the ball at the on the mat, at the head of the mat. And we're going to lay down on our belly. Now, anybody who is not supposed to go into back extension or back bending will need to modify this. So if that's your case, Then you would place the ball underneath your abdomen to keep your back rounded, and we'll do our postural work with our chest down. Okay, so this is a position for someone who is not supposed to back bend, like a spondylolysis or spondylolisthesis. Okay, if you're okay with back bending, place the ball underneath your chest, kind of in the midpoint of your chest on your sternum. Okay, and then we've got a little bit of an assisted back extension we can do. So tighten up your glutes if you're in this position and come on up, back of the neck long. Okay, and then everybody can move their arms up and down. So we'll do another set of 100 here. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. I love this exercise. Can you tell? So we keep the back of the neck long by looking down right in front of us. And keep your arms moving, and you'll begin to feel the backs of your arms working, and maybe the muscles around your rib cage too. So working on our posture. And then we'll change the pattern from an up and down pat of the hands to a sideways movement of the hands. And we'll do our second cap of our 100. And exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now your backs of your shoulders and your triceps may be feeling something. Keep your glutes engaged if the ball is under your chest. Good. And we've got 2 more sets to do. And 1 more set. Did I mention pull your belly up? Sorry if I didn't. All right, and then our hands come down to the mat. Tuck your toes, okay? Lift your knees, pull up your belly, pull up your pelvic floor, and then press yourself up in one piece into a front support plank. Okay, good. So here we are. Now what? We're just gonna breathe, pull your belly up, and then bring your knees down, press your hips back, walk your hands back, walk your knees forward and wide, and come into a wide-legged child's pose. So we can stack our hands, place your forehead on your stacked fists, and take a few breaths here. One more breath. Let's go ahead and come up into hands and knees. Shoulders down the back. You can use fists if your hands aren't happy being flat. Good. And then we'll go ahead and take the ball underneath our right hand. Now, the intention is not to be bearing a lot of weight on the ball. So most of your weight is going to be on your left arm. And then we'll go ahead and extend our left leg and leave the toe pads turned down so you're in contact with the mat. Square your hips and shoulders and pull up into belly and pelvic floor. So we'll go ahead and just do some circles with the ball, or you could write the alphabet for more variety, A, B, C, D, with your hand on the ball. And once you get that started, you'll feel that the stabilizers in your body are having to work, including the glute on the right side, your standing glute. If you want more stability, then you can lift up your left leg to hip height and just find your inner thighs here. So maybe swing your left leg in a little closer, find the inner thighs. It helps the pelvic floor. And then we'll just keep going. Okay, good. And that's it. So now continuing to have your hand on the ball, and now everybody lifts the leg. Just do 5 circles with the lifted leg in each direction. 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice job. And then we'll bring all our limbs down and in. Take your knees apart and sit your hips back for a wide-legged child's pose. You can again stack your fists and put your forehead on your fists. Take a couple of breaths. And then we'll come up into our quadruped again. And we'll have the ball underneath our left hand. Shoulders are down. We'll extend our right leg this time. Leave your toe pads down on the mat for the moment. Okay. Square your hips and shoulders. Pull up belly and pelvic floor. and start making circles or writing the alphabet with your left hand. Okay, so you begin to feel your supporting gluteal muscles working. That would be the left glute if your left leg is bent. And if you want more, you just lift the right leg, keeping your hips level, and then swing your right leg a little closer to find the inner thigh. That helps the pelvic floor. And keep breathing. Yeah, very nice. And then once we've got some of the alphabet written, okay, then we can pause the alphabet with our hand. We'll do 5 circles in each direction with a lifted leg. So everybody lifts the leg at this point. Circle, keeping your hips steady. 4, 5. Nice job. And then everybody comes in and we sit our hips back. We take a little wrist break here. We can do some wrist rotations. Take a few breaths. Well, that was fun. Good. But wait, there's more. We'll go ahead and sit up, and we'll be doing a little bit of ab work and seated. Okay, so you can sit in a chair at this point, or you can sit on your mat, knees straight, knees bent. In the chair, sit toward the edge of the chair so your back isn't against the back of the chair. And then we'll hold our ball in front of us. So I'm just going to face you for this one so you can see the choreography. Take a breath. And as you exhale, pull into your belly and lean back slightly, enough to feel your abdominals engage. So you have a nice posture here. And then we'll go ahead and just make a circle with the ball, okay, in one direction without rotating your torso. So you're leaned back, circling the ball, and you can feel that your belly has to respond to the movement of your arms with the ball. And then we'll go the other direction. Good. And 9 and 10. Good. And then come on up. Good. If you need to do a little stretch, a flat back hinge over wide legs is appropriate. I'll just take a little breath here. And then come back up. Get ready for another one. So your hands are holding the ball nice and wide. Take a breath. Pull into belly. Pull up pelvic floor and lean back enough to feel your abs begin to work. Good. And then from here, take the ball in one hand, take it out to the side. The other hand stays right in front of you. And then bring it back and switch. And bring it back and switch. So we're moving from side to side. Nice. So you can feel that your abs have to respond to this movement. You can take breaks whenever you want. I'm just going to kind of keep rolling with some different ideas here. All right. So now next time your ball is back in your hand, go up and up. And smile about it. So your brain will think you're doing something really good for your body, which you are. Okay, good. And then we go from that into cheerleader. One arm up, the other arm out. You imagine the pom-pom? Were we ever a cheerleader? I was a yell leader once. That was the cheerleader cadre that couldn't do the splits. And so we just got to be like the big motivational voices. Guess that's still happening. Oh, one more. We'll come in, come up, take your legs apart, and lean forward with a flat back hinge to stretch. So that was fun. Take another breath here. And then let's go ahead and stand up. So your arms are in front of you. You're holding the ball. You're standing at the front of your mat. You step back with one leg. Okay. And forward. Express the ball forward as you step back. Bring it towards you as you come forward. So we'll just do some alternating back steps. Pull up your belly. See if you can connect your pubic bone to your navel, to your sternum, and find the zipper line. You step back and forward. Good. We'll do one more here. And then we'll step back with one leg and hold. Good. Now your legs can stay straight here. So let's zip up our front line, drop your tailbone down, and then begin to do a rotation with two hands holding the ball from side to side. And just breathe as you rotate. And exhale as you come back out of the rotation and just see how that is. Now pay attention to your front knee and make sure that it's staying right over your ankle. So your hips are staying mostly forward. Okay, so we're trying to not really do a big twist through the hips. Slight movement is okay, that's normal. Okay, good. All right, so we've got that down. Now let's go ahead and take the ball in one hand, rotate that arm behind you and follow the ball with your head, neck, shoulders, and eyes. And then come back and switch hands. And follow the ball behind you with your head, neck, shoulders, and eyes, and switch hands. Inhale to rotate. Exhale to center. Inhale to rotate. Exhale to center. Let's do one more on each side. Perfect job. Ready for one more? Sure enough. Bring the ball down in both hands beside you and slightly bend your knees. Bring the ball up in a rainbow arc and bring it down on the other side and slightly bend your knees. Okay, so you're going straight up and down, not forward. And you can go into as deep of a lunge or as shallow of a lunge as your body, your knees, and your balance want. I'm just making little, this is actually a medicine ball rotation. So you can tell all your friends you were working some medicine ball routines today. Very impressive. And one more on each side. Perfect job. And then we'll lean forward slightly to release the stretch in the back hip and step forward and just shake it out. Good. Other side. So we step back. Perfect job. Try to land on your toes. Zip up the front line, drop your tailbone down, and then both hands stay on the ball. We inhale with our hands holding the ball. Exhale, inhale, rotate. Exhale. So both hands holding the ball as we rotate. So you notice there's just it's a smaller range of motion, right? With both hands on the ball. The ball's kind of, staying centered to your chest. So there's your red thread of alignment. One more. Good. And then we grasp the ball in one hand. The other arm stays forward. And we inhale. Follow the ball with your head, neck, shoulders, and eyes. Exhale from the center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Nice going. Just keep breathing. You find a much larger range of motion. Beautiful stretch. Beautiful balance. Let's do one more on each side. Good. And then we get ready for our med ball rotation. So we bring the ball down to one side, arc it up, bring it down, arc it up. Perfect job. And you can go as deep as you are comfortable or as shallow as you are comfortable. Just up and down. And last one. Perfect job. Bring the ball in, lean forward slightly to release the stretch in your back hip. Step forward, shake it out. And it's time to go back to our mats. We're going to go into our quadruped again for just a moment. Do a little cat-cow here. So you could do this on your forearms if you wanted to. So we'll have our knees and our hands about as wide as our hips and shoulders. Then exhale, press our spine and our back into a very gentle cat, and then inhale. And let our spine go into a very gentle cow. So just keep moving with your breath and see if you can find any places that need a little bit more stretch. So often it's our low backs that become a little stiff. And so we might want to focus our movement on the lower half of our body without forcing or pushing. Okay, good. And we'll do one more on each side, or well, one more of each cycle. Very good. And then we'll come down to one hip and we'll flip ourselves around onto our backs. So we'll be done with the ball for today. We'll take one ankle on top of the opposite thigh and go into a figure four stretch. Well, actually, we might be using the ball because if you need to be closer, you could put the ball underneath your foot, right? Or you could bring your foot closer and go up onto your toes. So we'll just pre-stretch our glute here. And then if you feel safe doing this movement that I'm going to show you next, go ahead, but just start small. You can kind of start taking your body into rotation, keeping your ankle in place and roll toward the support leg side as if you were going to place the sole of your foot on the mat. You just don't need to go all the way, but you can kind of rock back and forth and see how that gets into some fibers of your muscles and fascia on the side of your hip. You could just stay there if it felt really yummy. You can go back and forth if it feels a little tight. And then we'll let that go and we'll switch legs. We'll just pre-stretch here. Find your figure four stretch. And this is the stretch that you can do when we go into mermaid next. If you feel like your knee is not happy in the mermaid, or you have a severe bone density loss in the femoral neck, what's called the hip, okay, you can just repeat this again, okay, when we go into the mermaid next. So we can try that nice rotation if that feels good, or you could just stay and hold. And we'll come back to center, we'll unwind. Good, and let's roll to the side, press up, and we'll go into our mermaid. So from here, you can be in a Z sit. Support shoulder is down your back. Bring the other arm up, take a breath. And as we exhale, we bend the forearm and move into a nice side stretch here. Take a breath, take another breath. And on your next exhale, engage your abdominals. Bring your top arm up and away and see if you can come to balance. Hold on to your shin of your other leg and do a little counter stretch. Breathe, balance, come on down, and come into your side bend again. You can stay here, or you can continue on rotating toward the ceiling on your inhale. On your exhale, pulling deeply into your belly to rotate the rib cage, and then we go into our mermaid. If you're okay with pigeon pose, if you need more stretch, you could go ahead and move into a pigeon pose from yoga. If you have severe bone density loss in the femoral neck, that's not advisable. But if that's not you, you need more stretch, it's a nice place to go to. Just keep breathing. And 2 more breaths here. And we'll inhale to unwind. Exhale to come up, baby balance. And then we'll switch our legs around to the other side. So support shoulders down. Pre-stretch and lengthen. Take a breath. Exhale over. And take another breath. And take another breath. And then on our next exhale, go ahead and press up. Find your balance. Hold on to your shin. Find your counter stretch. Breathing. Come back to balance. Gracefully float down. Find your side stretch. Stay here or continue on. Inhaling to open your heart toward the ceiling. Exhale to provide room to rotate your rib cage. You can stay here or find a more meaningful variation if this isn't it. We just keep breathing. Soften your eyes. Separate your teeth. Soften your face. Feel how when you breathe, it stretches your body. We have this ebb and flow of our breath in our body. It helps to keep our tissues healthy. Nice full breaths, full exhales. And take one more breath. And we'll inhale to come out, exhale up. Good. That was nicely done, everybody. So just keep your abs in and your shoulders back and down until I see you again. And it was lovely to see you all today.